This episode of Untold Stories is sponsored by shopping.io. You'll hear more about them later on in this episode. What is up, everyone? I am Charlie Shrem, and you are listening and watching Untold Stories, where twice a week we get to dive deep with some of crypto's most influential leaders to find out how this movement truly came to be, where we are now, where we're going. And during the fun times in the bull markets, it's exciting. We try to understand and we think we know how everything works. And then China shows up and decides to like kick out all of the hash rate. And then just our whole world changes and the crypto ecosystem. And you know what I tell everyone? You have to learn how to lose money first in crypto in order to learn how to make money in crypto. And my guest today, Latif Peracha, is here to teach us potentially how to not lose money in crypto. He's been a GP at M13, and previously he spent 8 years working with Sir Richard Branson, and during this time developed a clear understanding of how, like, we know, a single brand and a visionary was able to scale 8 companies in all different industries and geographies into this huge thing that we know today. And now hopefully take those same lessons to M13, where he searches for entrepreneurs who are attacking markets with those same perspective. Latif, thanks for coming on Untold Stories today.
Thanks for having me, Charlie. Big fan of the show. Um, if it's helpful, I would love to potentially kick off and get a little background on our firm and a little bit of my history in crypto, if
Yeah, I'd
that
love to hear
works.
it.
Awesome. So I'm a GP at M13. We're an early stage consumer technology fund out of LA and New York. Our investment thesis is predicated on understanding the future of consumer behavior. We invest in the application layer and the enabling technologies that power them, seed, Series A, Series B, and we very much believe in a platform approach to venture, hands-on. Our platform is called Propulsion, which is intended to hopefully increase the likelihood and magnitude of our company's success. We have amazing partners that are full time around data, brand, people, and marketing that wake up every day thinking about our companies. We are generalists by nature, but we specialize in certain areas. I spent a lot of my time in fintech and in crypto, and we've made 3 investments to date in what I'll call the business of Bitcoin. Lightning Labs, which is the layer 2 above Bitcoin, intended to make it faster and cheaper for transactions. Fold, which is a gamified financial rewards business, which is built around Bitcoin. And in a world of depreciating rewards that can literally expire, what if you had an appreciating reward, and what better reward than the reward of Bitcoin? And third is River, which is a private bank basically built around Bitcoin. And by servicing just Bitcoin, it can go much deeper on product innovation than, say, some of the exchanges that have a huge technical drag from supporting hundreds and hundreds of tokens. So at the firm, we bifurcate the market in terms of what I'll call the business of Bitcoin, and then all the new areas, which we are also very excited by, including NFTs and creator tools and the business model innovation that can come from this market, which is really profound, and I think has implications that none of us can really completely get our head around
Yeah,
just yet.
yeah,
Um, and then my personal to go back to my personal journey with crypto, as you mentioned, Charlie, I worked at Virgin Group previously. Virgin is just an incredible place to learn and to build a career. It's a kind of a black box, but really a single investor structure that is supported by the Branson family. And I was involved in managing our entire U.S. business from the Virgin companies. Actually, my last deal at Virgin was signing the term sheet on the Virgin Galactic SPAC before
wow,
it went public, and then had the great fortune of working with a guy in London named John O'Elliott, and we started a venture strategy together where we invested in 30 different consumer technology companies, Slack, Ring, TransferWise, and a company called Blockchain, which is pretty well known as kind of the Coinbase of Europe. But in addition to that investment, back in like 13, 14, we bought some Bitcoin at the firm, and we didn't have a crazy financial thesis or anything like
This was
that. We were
2013, 2014, you were saying? 2014,
yeah.
2015? It wasn't like this wasn't a public thing.
No. It was a very private. It was just a private experiment. It wasn't really done for any other reason than almost. It was almost philosophical in the sense that at the time it was all kind of amorphous, and Bitcoin and blockchain, all of it kind of felt like the same thing. And we felt as though this blockchain could represent these immutable records. And the thing that got us excited was in emerging markets in places like potentially Venezuela or Syria, where they're very unstable countries, the idea that somebody could have a record of property that they owned was a concept that we were really rallied around. And Richard, in particular, was very, very drawn to it. So, we made an investment. Then clearly it was a very good investment. And then if you fast forward a couple of years to early 17, and we had an analyst in New York who was talking to me about these smart contracts and Ethereum and what smart contracts could do to basically everything. In particular, we thought like cap table management and waterfalls and all these things we have to think
Sure.
about as investors. It's a
Yeah, and
total mess.
downstreams.
Total mess today too. You have a lawyer sitting in an office in Excel trying to calculate who gets what cash based on liquidation preferences and all this other stuff, and it's very, very inefficient. And I imagine billions of dollars have gone to the wrong hands based on just
For sure.
human error. So made a purchase of Ethereum in early 17. And then Charlie, as you and probably many others that have been in the market for a long time now, there's always that one or two moments in your career that kind of trigger your interest. And for me, I bought a ticket to an event in New York called the Token Summit. I don't know. It was and it
I
was at
remember.
it was at NYU's campus, stuffy little auditorium. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and I spent the whole day there. And I'll say some of the crypto OGs were in the room, from Brian Armstrong to Fred Wilson at Union Square to Chris Berdinsky, who was he's got a fund now called Placeholder, and
Sure, yeah,
was the first
placeholder VC.
was the first kind of Bitcoin buy side analyst for Cathie Wood and ARK, and he was talking about crypto economic models and how you value these networks and on and on and on. And I remember just walking home to my apartment that night thinking there was something really special happening here. Got kind of carried away in the bull market of 17, and in the bear market, continued to just study and read. And there was a paper by a guy named Vijay Boyapati called the Bullish Case for Bitcoin.
He's amazing too, Vijay. We just hung out in Bitcoin Miami. Actually, he was great. He gave me his book, and then everyone should read it. It's the Bullish Case of Bitcoin, I think it's called, but I'll link to it on the show notes here. And it's a phenomenal book. I gave it to my friend. He read it in one day. He mailed it back to me. It's like, it's an unbelievable book. But continue. Sorry.
It is. I mean, it really, the way he framed it with the kind of the history of money and human civilization was just incredible, and really built my conviction in Bitcoin. And fast forward now, it's an incredibly exciting time to be an investor in the crypto market. We're very bullish on our three investments and also the many areas beyond Bitcoin that I had mentioned. There are real applications now. There is really no going back, in my opinion. If you looked at beginning of 18, where the market cratered, and you had ultimately you ended up having a 95% drawdown.
When did we hit that point? When did we hit you think that point of there's actually no going back now of this Bitcoin morphed crypto land thing that we have here, blockchain technology thing?
I would say probably last year.
I actually agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's where you saw DeFi volumes. And I will make the statement that I am not an expert in DeFi, but DeFi volumes beginning of 18 were locked in, was call it 300 million, and then now it fluctuates, but you're in the tens of billions. And then obviously what happened across the NFT space, a lot of that was this year, but really a lot of the groundwork had been built in 2020. To me, it's suddenly become very, very real, and as at F13 as a consumer focused fund, the application layer is important, and there are now real applications. I mean, if you look back at the beginning of 18 or middle of 18, when there was a 95 drawdown in ETH and an 85% drawdown in Bitcoin, you kind of had you'd be lying if you weren't a little nervous if you were in the market
Every
as to
bear
whether.
market, I get nervous. Every bear market, everyone does.
Yeah.
But
I
I
mean,
want,
this one, I don't know where we are right now. I saw you posted something on Twitter about the Dunning Kruger effect, and
yes.
uh, I'm certainly no guru, but I would say I'm somewhere between the slope of enlightenment and the plateau of sustainability. I mean, I really do believe that once you've been through these markets, the volatility, in many ways, can become a bit of a feature, not a bug. But if you're a newbie,
Oh,
obviously,
I like that. Yeah, it's
can
true.
be it can be tough.
It's like you wait for certain volatility. It's like how you're a surfer and you wait for certain swells, you know? It's not a bad idea to have volatility baked into the long term of this thing. Potentially, maybe it's a feature, not a bug. But it's an interesting point that you make that you were pitched and understood like the breadth of smart contracts very early on. Yet you guys still are very heavily invested in like Bitcoin infrastructure, Lightning Labs, River Financial, CoinMine. Um, in 2017, this was a big topic. Smart scaling in crypto is better than fast scaling. Our industry is only 10 years old, and it seems like there's a race to scale. And and then you mentioned another thing that I want to wrap into your technical debt. You probably get pitched a lot of projects. You're looking at, you're researching constantly. That from even blockchains from the get go, you're looking at like, there's going to be a lot of technical debt there, technical burden. So is it still the case, do you think, that even though a lot of these blockchains are now fighting for cross-chain and swaps and everything, and Bitcoin is building that infrastructure layer, do you think that smart scaling over fast scaling is still like the best solution here?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Smart scaling so that you can you can
Like
produce.
Lightning Labs, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, Lightning Labs is if you believe that Bitcoin is going to move anywhere from a store of value to a medium of exchange, it's absolutely essential that you have a business that like Lightning Labs that basically transactions are instant. The cost is fractions of a cent versus $10 on the underlying blockchain. So I think like Lightning Labs is a great example of a company that has been building for years and years. We see the developer activity continue to increase on Lightning, and I would say we personally don't believe we're not kind of Bitcoin maximalists. Although if you would look at our portfolio today, you
The
would see
fact that you would
that
even
there's
have to say that is the fault of the maximalist. You shouldn't have to ever apologize or like not apologize, but like I'm not in this bucket. I'm like there's no such thing as Bitcoin maximalists. The maximalists actually use maximalism to justify their own existence. But meanwhile, it's always been from Satoshi's times till now. We're always been chain agnostic. There's no reason for us to explore and to understand and to scientifically develop across different ideas and concepts. And it's very selfish to say this is it. I'm going to attack everything else. I have to harp on that point because I'm not a fan of that either.
Yeah, you're right. Kind of have to say it, which is unfortunate. But I also say it because if anyone were to study our portfolio, you would see a pattern around Bitcoin. And um, as a generalist firm, crypto is one thing we do, and then within crypto, obviously, it's the perpetual rabbit hole, and we just think that the market is going to be so big that starting with Bitcoin as our investment thesis, where Bitcoin is, and I say this in the best way possible, is sort of for many consumers around the world is the gateway drug into crypto, and really investing in companies that we believe are going to
Bitcoin is the safe
undoubtedly.
crypto.
Yeah, well, it's a safe crypto. I mean, it's um, there is real businesses, without going into the details of token economics versus equities. You can invest in the equities of companies today, that are going to basically ride the growth of Bitcoin. And
Yeah.
so, there's some amazing data out there. Like something like 46 million Americans own Bitcoin, which is like 17% of the adult population. Actually, a much higher number than I thought. You've got 32% of people in Nigeria own I think it's generally crypto, but predominantly Bitcoin. You're seeing this across countries. So the brand of Bitcoin has gotten, we're a consumer fund. The brand of Bitcoin has gotten so big, yet it's the most beautiful example of microeconomics at work. We all know the macro kind of money printing hedge story, but on the
Yeah.
micro basis, going back to my econ class at University of Michigan, you got fixed supply,
It's so
you've
simple.
got growing demand. It only means one thing as a store of value, and then the question is, how does it potentially expand into the medium of exchange? And our base case is store of value. Our upside case, and why we invested in Lightning, is it becomes something greater than that. And there's some really cool applications being built
Yeah.
on top of Lightning.
If you look at what money and value is, it's a battery bank, and it's an efficient transfer of our own human capital of us. We work, and then eventually we start working. We're transferring energy. We're pro-social, putting it into the world, transferring our energy into the world, and we're working. And if we learn how to do it in the most efficient way possible, we become billionaires. We learn how to work for 1 minute and make millions of dollars an hour. Most people don't get to that point but it's all about efficiency. So at the end of the day, if you've at least made that value and now it's stored in that bank, why should that value now be just like a leaking battery? Shouldn't the battery give you the ability to power your life and do bigger and better things? That's all Bitcoin is saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's, I think it's interesting when you look at sort of Elon and the you can buy a Tesla with Bitcoin
Yeah.
thing and then employing it back. Like, to be honest, buying a Tesla with Bitcoin is a terrible idea. Like, why? Why would I mean, Teslas probably depreciate
These
less
are all
than.
ways they want you to take your Bitcoin. They want to take your
Yeah,
Bitcoin because
yeah.
Elon's
So
smart. He wants
to
all of the
us,
Bitcoin. That's why he's doing what he's doing. He just wants all of the Bitcoin. The cheaper he keeps it, the more he can get from government subsidies and things like that. You get free dollars.
yeah. I mean, the exciting thing for us around using Bitcoin
I love him.
to pay for stuff is just it's really the micro rewards and the micro actions, and the fact that if we can shift from USD or whatever your local currency is into Satoshis, and you start to think about the fact that you know Charlie, I love your show, so I'm going to tip you with Satoshis. Like, that's a show that is an exchange where I am saying to you, I'm going to part with something that I value because I value you so much, and I can do that in fractions. And so you can create a whole economy, I think, around micro behaviors and micro incentives, and that's what's really exciting about Fold, and their ability
Oh
to do
yeah, Fold is awesome.
variable rewards. I mean, that company is incredibly exciting and have a roadmap that I think is going to excite customers for a very long time.
Hey guys, I'm Charlie Shrem here in Las Vegas to teach some NFL players about Bitcoin with an amazing symposium tomorrow. But I wanted to congratulate our sponsor, Kava, because Circle chose the Kava platform last week as one of their newest blockchains and protocols they're going to be launching USDC on. Traditionally, USDC has only been on Ethereum and one or two other chains like Tron. But now there's a bunch of other blockchains. The Kava platform is one of them, and you can access all of those super cool DeFi high yield opportunities that are on the Kava platform now with USDC, which we know and love. So check them out at untoldstories.link/Kava. And congratulations, guys. Having Circle choose y'all as the top blockchain for USDC to be launched on is a big freaking deal. I'm going to go teach some football players about Bitcoin. Here's Courtney. I'm out. The most important part of our Bitcoin and crypto industry is being able to not only earn money in crypto, but also be able to spend it, earn rewards in crypto, and keep that revolution going, keep the cycle going of all of us together. Well, my partners at shopping.io are offering just that. Multi-tiered discounts up to 10% where you can spend your crypto anywhere that you're already buying everything already, Amazon, Walmart, eBay, but use your crypto to spend it, earn back cash back, earn back rewards, And not only that, but if you go to untoldstories.link/shopping.io, you get an additional, on top of every other discount, an additional 2%. So you can go there now and shop and get 12% off of everything you're already buying anyways. Fantastic, fantastic company. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you check them out at untoldstories.link/shopping.io. Talk to me about like I don't know if we have a term for it because I call it the Bitcoiner, but that's not fair because it's really everyone in this space. So like crypto folk is plural, FOLK. I need to think of like the kryptonite. That's a bad term for it. But the typical entrepreneur in our space comes to you. How many projects are you looking at on a weekly basis, like in normal times, post COVID, pre COVID, whatever?
Crypto projects?
Not just crypto projects, but
Oh,
all of them.
generally, wow.
And how many crypto
We
projects?
we we see several thousand companies a year. So
Oh my god.
uh, in crypto, we're more selective. We're not. I would say your first port of call today in terms of like if you're an investor in crypto. But that said, you build your reputation through the community and uh, very close with our founders, Alex, Will, and Elizabeth, that are the founders of our
Yeah.
three companies. Um, and we've spent time, with all the NFT players. I mean, we've talked to, I want to say 30 different NFT companies. We've known the Dapper guys since the
Yeah.
CryptoKitties days. And so we are more selective in terms of the conversations in crypto. I would say we're probably talking to oh, 2 to 3 crypto companies a week. Myself, and there's a great associate in our team named Mark Grace, who has been deep in the weeds with me, and we get after it. So it's a lot of fun.
What are some common threads between the entrepreneurs in our space versus other spaces? What are some kind of things that you notice between like all the males and females that are running our whole industry here?
I think there's a lot of parallels. You're ultimately investing in. Um, it's all early stage, right? So 2.0 versus 3.0. There's a ton of risk. Um, the thing you really look for is someone who's very very mission driven and somebody who can attract people, and that's the thing that
Interesting.
maybe even more so in 3.0, which is um, so it's obviously you started with Satoshi, who was anonymous, and then you have Vitalik with Ethereum, and then you have these other layer ones, and Gavin with Polkadot. Like you need to have
Sure.
a
Charles with
person
Cardano. Yeah. I mean,
who
it's a
draws
positive
in the
and a
developers
negative.
and draws in the customers. Right now, the customers in crypto, it's changing, but the customers have been the developers. And who is the figure drawing them in? And that's
Mhm.
something that I think is consistent around the human condition and startups and being able to raise capital, to um, attract developers, to build a team. All those things are really really crucial.
You worked in the space industry for a very long time, and now you're in crypto. What's the intersection there? I mean, do you see? I mean, there's some crazy theories from Mars coin to Bitcoin being really the only crypto that can be used in space because it's digital. What are some of your views there? What is like the business of the aeronautical industry? That's like a better question. Is it just right now tourist flights? Is that what I'm looking at for the next 2 decades of my life to afford the ability to get a plane ticket to go 20 seconds? Or what am I looking at by the time in the next 30 years? Flying cars? What's the story?
Yeah, so I think for the short term, it's going to be joyrides into the edge of
I love
space,
how you call
which, by the way, is
I'd still
is
pay 250K, by the way, in a heartbeat, like to do that. I'd
well,
pay
it's
anything
good. I think
if I
going to
had the
be
money.
exciting. It's all been in the press about Bezos and Branson and the race to get up there. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting. But I'll just tell you, the Virgin's approach to it was different than Elon and maybe others, which is the point that we had was we wanted to get to space not because we felt as though that was kind of going to be the next frontier of mankind. having colonies on other planets, but because by getting to space and by being able to see the curvature of the Earth and take in the beauty of that, it would inspire you to take better care of the planet and be more environmentally friendly and
Oh my
come
God.
back and try to make a bigger difference on Earth. And that's a crucial point um, that's
Wow.
really the vision that Virgin and Richard and Virgin Galactic, you know, has. There's tons of capital going into
My
obviously the small sat industry and everything else, but I don't think we're that close, honestly, to getting you to the moon. I'm sorry,
It's
Charlie.
okay. There are more important things on Earth to deal with. One of my best friends, Phil, actually just developed a seaweed that he grows, and it's supposed to supplement what you feed to cattle here in the U.S. And the seaweed is supposed to essentially like help the cows come back to ultimate health of where they went with all the GMOs and how the earth, we've treated cattle. And the only person who has ever taken his business seriously is Sir Richard Branson. He invites him out every year to play tennis with him just to see how his process is going. So I understand what you're saying by he cares about the earth and you guys at the Virgin brand. Do you still you weave that ethos through your personal life? So how did it feel with all of like the Bitcoin energy FUD coming out? And then your friends or family are probably like, hey, you've been doing this forever and now you're in this like crazy bad energy thing. What was your response?
I mean, I don't have a crystal ball or a great answer as to the solution um, on the environmental point. Obviously, it needs to get figured out. I think you have to look at um, countries that have a huge, natural energy strategy and adoption. Whether that's, I don't think Costa Rica is very
Yeah, and
high up
that's where
there,
it's
but
happening. Yeah.
yeah, but also places like Germany and Sweden, which you don't think about as much, are their natural energy consumption is somewhere between 10 and 20% and going up. And so I think you have to look at countries like that as being areas of focus. And there's an abundance of hydro
Yeah.
energy, finding out where those pockets are, and really trying to leverage that energy source. But it needs to get figured out, and I would think in the Bitcoin, and you see what's happening in El Salvador,
Yeah.
which by the way, genius. I mean, not only is it an incredible movement, and the fact that you can now go to basically any merchant and
So cool.
and purchase the Bitcoin, but also what a great PR move, what a great
Yeah.
brand move. I mean, who the hell was talking about? No offense to anyone from El Salvador, but who was talking about El Salvador
No,
before a month
before
ago?
they were
I
not.
mean,
No. Yeah, you're right.
so you think about as a country, if you start to think about, well, how do I leverage my energy consumption or make this an initiative? I do think countries are going to look at Bitcoin and crypto generally as a competitive advantage, in a way to build their brand and to get themselves more on the global scale. So that's where I'm optimistic about, but it's a huge issue and we got to work on it.
I was talking to a friend of mine who's in the cabinet of his country, and he said, "Charlie, we we never had any oil, and now we do because
There you go.
that it's the digital oil. It's the ability what oil and gas gave to billions of people around the world was their government's ability to create sovereign wealth, to create long-term economic plans. That's really look at from Norway to Saudi Arabia to even here in the US. That's what Bitcoin is giving to El Salvador. Like right there. It's so how could anyone not see it? Like this whole industry, and I know I start to get excited about when I start using the word like too much. I'm getting too excited and off the walls. But it really is such a beautiful thing. And now that we're in this world, that we're in, um, listen, we started off like the show talking about bear markets and things like that. You don't get disheartened. What type of advice would you give to people who are like checking the prices in the markets every single day?
Including my own family,
Yeah.
who I actually know when there's a problem or a problem when there's a drawdown, because I get a bunch of text
I
messages, as
hate
I'm
it.
sure you do, and so then I go and look at the price. And uh, my advice is have a long term time horizon.
I
That's
like
your
that.
biggest advantage, right? If you're, you will get hurt if you're in this for a quick buck. You almost undoubtedly will get hurt. So figure out, this is not financial advice, but the way I talk to people I'm close to is figure out, the disposable income alternative investing bucket
Yeah.
that you're comfortable sort of just putting away, and just watch the, study the market, and um, that sinking feeling in your stomach when you see whatever your value get cut in 60, 70%. Everyone goes through that, and it's like the pain before the gain. You just gotta go through it. So be mentally prepared, and um, I'm really quite at ease with all the volatility, to be honest.
Yeah. Are there any like um hardships or life lessons you learned along the way that prepared you to enter into this industry? Are there any stories that you give to your startup CEOs to give them some advice along the way?
Well, I don't know about life lessons. I'm not. Uh, I don't think I'm that wise, but I can. What I do try to think about a lot is, not to go back to like investing, but I really trying to think about the frameworks of Web 2.0 versus Web 3.0, and a lot of the things that matter in 2.0 still matter in 3.0, which is, how do you create real network effects? Um, how do you build brands right now? I mean, it's really fascinating to think about it. The network effects and the brands that we were talking about in 3.0 are all kind of protocols or infrastructure layers. Like
I know
that's
it's
that's that's
insane.
crazy. I mean, that's like the brand of HTTP, and the ability to invest in that brand
TCIP
and
and
how that.
stuff. Yeah.
So it's all kind of very fascinating. But if you take Fold, for example, which is one of our companies, the interesting thing that Fold is seeing is that people are linking their Fold wallet to their employer. So instead of the money going to Citi or whoever, it's going straight to Fold, and that is a really really powerful data point, because that shows that Fold is becoming like their primary way of managing money and spending money. And if you think about, again, Web 2.0 companies and companies like Chime, which is a big consumer banking platform, that was the biggest thing that they saw, was that they were able to own the checking account, and made it
Yeah.
really really easy. So the lessons I give is like, to the CEO of Fold, is like, hey, that is a really important metric. Let's grow that metric, because that shows that you're building something that's truly special. And so
Yeah,
that's how
that
I kind
API
of think
layer
about it.
of banking that was released with Fold, and you can do it with and make that connection. You get paid directly to it. It cuts the whole bank out completely. There's no need for it anymore.
And it's cool because it's built on Lightning, but you don't know that as a consumer. Like the thing that I think crypto needs to figure out going forward is the demand side. Is the Like, we get so stuck
The
on
user
this
experience,
decentralized.
you mean? Like the user experience type of
Yeah, the
situation?
user experience, the UX. Like, I think MetaMask is one of the most important companies in crypto. Like
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's like the apps. It's almost like the app store of crypto. Like, yeah, it's kind of, maybe that's a bad analogy, but my point is, like, you go to MetaMask and suddenly it opens up this whole world to you, and it's really easy to do. There's no KYC. Um,
Yeah,
you
it's
can
all
do it
done.
on
It's all
your
software. It's all software.
Yeah,
You're
you
just
can do it on your
interfacing with
phone. You can
software.
do it
Yeah.
on your
You can
Chrome
download it. You
extension.
can download MetaMask, unplug your computer from the internet, and still do all of the same functions. It's all offline, publicly available software. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. So I think obfuscating the crypto-ness of it, the blockchain nature of things, is going to be really, really important. And with most infrastructure developments, you got to build up the supply side, which I think crypto's done a pretty good job of. But now you've got to build up the demand side. So, um, I'll give you an example. You take Filecoin versus AWS, like the idea that it's decentralized, and the idea that you have more visibility into where your data is stored, is is important. But if it's not as cheap and if it's not as fast and if it's not as good, I just don't think it's going to ultimately scale.
Yeah.
So like we got to start getting things really, really good for the end customer.
You've definitely given us a lot of food for thought and things that we have to work on and hope for, but also really good. I like your investment thesis a lot because um you're very specific in following like how all of the companies within at least the crypto portfolio, and have to look at the regular portfolio, but at least in the crypto portfolio, are all following that same like common thread of trying to make the world a better place. And it's great to you really blew my mind about like how we really need to take care of this earth uh almost like first before going to other places, but maybe to in order to appreciate what we have here, we need to see other places. I don't know. You've given me a lot to think about. Thank you. Latif
Yeah.
Peracha, thank you for coming on Untold Stories today. I really appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me.